Hello, Frank's Humanities Hum 100, Part 2, 13th day, first video. Now, I looked back at some of the, or at the video where I explained about getting to Copenhagen, and I thought I should add, well, and also the one about going support when you're traveling. I recommend that if you would try to travel like I did, or maybe anyway, go with a friend. Go as a pair. That was my wife's idea that my daughter Erica should go with me. It was a good idea. I would have gone anyway. That's how badly I wanted to do that. But considering the help I needed along the way, if you would try such a thing, find a friend. Go as a pair. Another, just a little correction, I talked about in Brazil, Belo Horizonte, I had the wrong, I had a Z there, that's not important. Pollarding is what the tree, that's the term for what is done to trees. When I talked about in Copenhagen, Frederiksberg Palace and Park, pollarding. Why I was unsure about that was because I didn't know where the accent lay, but it lies on the first syllable. Pollarding. And you'll hear more about that as this tour d'Europe goes on, because my daughter and I had a sort of a steady discussion about whether or not that was a good thing to do, pollarding. If you do that to a tree, you trim it back so severely that it doesn't grow very much each year, but therefore it can be very old. So the trees that I was looking at the front of the Frederiksberg Palace were very old, but they weren't real high. Cosby's dentist, the reason I put that in there is because before I did this video, I have already been to the dentist, and my lip is numb. I may actually even be speaking funny, but that made me, whenever that happens, I think about Bill Cosby. Back in the 1970s, maybe, he did a monologue about going to the dentist. I'm sure it's online. It's very funny, so I just threw that in there. All right, now, the Audel's, I guess it would be Audel's, maybe collection that I have. I decided I would show you this. There are the builder's guides, the 4 that I said I bought for 50 cents, I think. It might have been $2. But I love them, and I set about on a quest to get a collection of them. Here are the Mason's guides, and I've read them too, but it's one of those things where I realize that I'm a carpenter, I'm not a mason. Machinist, yeah, Audel's Machinist Guide. I'm certainly not a machinist, but you might be already interested to know that Shirley is. She was trained as a machinist. And I could tell you more about that. I'm going to talk a good bit about Shirley. Audel's Oil Burner Guide. These date from the 1920s. Audel's Plumber and Steam Fitter's Guide number 1. That's the only one I have. Here's Sheet Metal Workers. Now that I'll probably use some. Truck and Tractor Guide. Now by this point it's almost getting just to be a collection. Home Appliance Service Guide, Audel's. And Electric Motors, once again, Audel's. I have another one, but I couldn't find it right away. It's a Millwright's Guide. It was a newer edition and really not quite as nice as those old ones. Alright, so that's taken care of. Now, Shirley. I really feel as if she rescued me in Hamburg. And the term Sister of Mercy comes to mind. You might want to Google that. I don't completely understand it, but I believe that these were nuns who went out of their way to help sick people. Well, she was there for me. We actually set the alarm off when we saw each other because we'd known each other now for about 2 years. online, but had never actually met each other. And it was so much fun to actually meet her. And she has been there always from the beginning of this course. She has helped me, and she continues to help me. You'll see some of her work in a moment. Maybe someday I will tell you how the story about how I found Shirley and how Shirley found me. It has to do with a place in Switzerland called Via Mala, a place that Shirley has never been to. So I won't get into that story too much because it's kind of a neat story. There in Hamburg, as I say, she didn't immediately realize how tired I was. I almost want to say sick. I have a little bit of pride, and I wanted to show a better face than I was actually feeling. But she figured it out eventually. I met her sister, Gabi. I met a good friend of hers named Dieter, who works at the airport. And in her care, she fed me. She saw that I got rested. And the next morning, she knew all about my itinerary and my plans. And she knew that I had to get on the train that very next morning. And she drove me to Harburg, and there I need to tell you that you need to initiate, if you go with your Braille pass sometime, you need to initiate the pass before you get on the first train. Well, we did that. And then in Harburg, Shirley, of course, knew how interested I am in timber framing, and not far from the train station, there are buildings that show a Fachwerk. I guess I should put that in quotes. This is German. That's the German word for timber framing. And she knew I would want to see them, and we went there and saw them. And I filmed them. So my filming in Europe is about to begin in the next video. It just all of a sudden starts and all of a sudden stops. I'm not too smooth with the whole process yet. But in the next video, which will be point 2 at the end, there you will see Fachwerk in Harburg, Germany, and you'll see that there's a connection between that and my neighbor's barn. I mean, I think you will. I hope you will. It's consistent that way. All right, I hope I've covered everything today. I don't know. But anyway, there will be a second video, 2 of them today. And the second one, it'll just suddenly be there you are in Harburg, Germany, with me filming and Shirley guiding me. So, see you tomorrow.